We are live. Welcome to the NXT TakeOver Philadelphia review. I'm your host, Kalind here, and this is the Wrestling with Green Pinstripes live podcast. NXT TakeOver Philadelphia has just went off the air 20 minutes ago, and now I'm going to be giving my review of NXT TakeOver Philly. So, I know the first match of the night was between the tag team match of excuse me. This is live on the air, so this is not taped. But the first match of the evening was between the Authors of Pain versus Undisputed Era for the NXT Tag Team Champions. I thought it was a okay match. It was not a great match, but it was definitely a match that was suited for the opening of the card. I know that Mauro Ranallo and Percy Watson were the commentators for tonight's show. Nigel McGuinness is out due to an illness. I hope everything he feels better. All goes well. And it was an okay match. It was nothing too special, but I meant at the end, the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish retained the NXT Tag Team Championships. The next match was between Velveteen Dream and Cassius Ohno. Now, I thought it was a fun match. Not a great match, but a fun match. And Velveteen Dream made a guarantee that he was going to knock out Cassius Ohno in 30 seconds. That did not happen. I was like, sir, you do not make a guarantee in the city of Philadelphia. I mean, the only people that make guarantees are the ones that played sports in New York, like Mark Messier. You do not make guarantees in Philadelphia. That is one thing. You do not make guarantees over there. But I thought it was a pretty fun match. It did make me laugh a little bit, and there were times where I thought Cassius Ohno was going to win, but at the end, Velveteen Dream wins the match, and that's all she wrote. The next match of the card was the NXT Women's Championship between Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon. Now, I thought it was a little weird that Shayna Baszler got a title match without much hype, because she didn't really get to any any number one contenders match. They just gave her the title match, just like that. They just gave her the title match, but the hype was slightly better than what's going on in the women's division on both Raw and SmackDown. That's how bad the women's division is on the main roster. That the NXT build up for the women's match was considered a slight upgrade. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it is on the main roster that the women's division of NXT is considered a slight upgrade. But I thought it was an interesting match. I had the bad feeling that Shayna Baszler was going to win the match because they were building her up so much, not so much Ember Moon. You could say that Shayna Baszler got so much free publicity and Ember Moon was the dark horse. Even though she was the champion, she was pretty much the dark horse candidate of the match. And there were times where Shayna Baszler was injuring Ember Moon's arm, and I had that bad feeling that, oh no, she's gonna lose the match in her first title defense. You just had that bad feeling inside you. But at the end of the day, Ember Moon managed to steal a victory. Despite the fact that she's champion, she managed to steal a victory with only one arm intact. And after the match, Shayna Baszler was attacking Ember Moon, trying to put her in a sleeper hold and whatnot. And Mauro Ranallo's commentary was she should be punished like that. I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. It's an understatement, but Mauro Ranallo, I am so glad he is on NXT because that guy is amazing. I've been following his work as a commentator since Strikeforce, and I know that I'm sure that Mauro Ranallo called a few of Shayna Baszler's MMA matches way back in the day, so he's familiar with her as well. And I remember him saying that William Regal should punish Shayna Baszler. I was like, wow, you know that's pretty bad of Shayna Baszler if like the nicest guy on the commentary team wants her punished. You know it's bad. You know it's really bad. Wow. And the next match was the Extreme Rules match between Aleister Black and Adam Cole, baby! In what I thought was a good match. I mean, it started off a bit slow, but it definitely picked up the pace by the spot of the chairs where Aleister Black threw Adam Cole's back onto those two chairs that Adam Cole initially set up. So you could, in a way, you could kind of say that he was hoisted by his own petard. But I mean, and despite the fact that Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly were interfering in the match, I know that Sanity had their own fair share of interference as well, because they also interfered, I would say, on behalf of Aleister Black, but it's really because Sanity has their own grudge against Undisputed Era, so you could say that. But I thought it was a fun match. I kind of wished that Paul Heyman was on guest commentary, because when he opened up the show, the pre-show, that's a pre-show promo, or the opening narrative, opening narration. The opening narration, I meant that was amazing, because it was Philadelphia, and Paul Heyman did form Extreme Championship Wrestling, not the entire ECW, because ECW was originally Eastern Championship Wrestling back in the day. But I meant it was I wish Paul Heyman was on guest commentary for the Extreme Rules match. That would have made that moment a lot better, because here's how I compare the commentary of Mauro Ranallo and Percy Watson. Mauro Ranallo is the gold standard. Percy Watson is the Federal Reserve note. That's how I'd compare that. The gold standard and the Federal Reserve note. Mauro Ranallo is gold. I mean, you need gold to go with gold. And that match should have had that, but it was still a good match. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. And I mean, some thought that nothing would top that match, but the final match of the night was the NXT Championship match between Andrade Cien Almas and Johnny Gargano, and I thought it was pretty cool that Andrade Cien Almas came out with the luchador mask in the entrance, and I know that he had that mariachi band prior to him entering, and well, I mean, because everybody knows that Andrade Cien Almas was the excuse me, he was a luchador prior to signing with WWE, and he had the mask on back then. But I thought it was pretty interesting that Andrade Cien Almas came out with the luchador mask. Obviously, he took it off before the match started, so that's that. And I know Johnny Gargano was on his entrance, standard entrance, but I know that his wife, Candice LeRae, who was recently signed to WWE a couple days ago, was at, I would say, in the audience near ringside. That's for certain. And I thought that was an excellent match. I meant magnifique. That was excellent. I meant you had storytelling from all angles. I meant their near falls. I meant even interferences from Zelina Vega, where she used her own luchador moves. And of course, Candice LeRae didn't want any of that, so she attacked Zelina Vega all the way to the back, which I thought that was pretty cool. And I got a feeling that Zelina Vega is going to make her in-ring debut that's my gut feeling that Zelina Vega is gonna make her in-ring debut. That's my gut feeling. And I know that Candice LeRae will be part of the NXT roster pretty soon. So maybe that is a setup to a rivalry from there. Who knows? And there were times where I thought that Johnny Gargano was gonna win. I kind of was rooting for Johnny Gargano to win, but at the end, Andrade Cien Almas wins the title. So that's that. But it was definitely a 5-star match, a match of the night. Definitely definitely one of the best matches of the card so far. It had the storytelling and everything that you would like from that match. And I know after the match, Tommaso Ciampa, spoiler alert, attacked Johnny Gargano just before the credits were about to roll. I was like, that reminds me of NXT TakeOver Chicago when that happened. Although that was a lot more savage in Chicago than it was in Philadelphia. But I think that Tommaso Ciampa realized that Gargano's wife was standing right next to him. So I was like, okay, I think Ciampa knows, okay, I'm going to show some mercy from there. And then I'll rip Gargano apart later. So, yeah, I got a feeling that Ciampa versus Gargano is going to happen at NXT TakeOver New Orleans the night before WrestleMania. That is my gut feeling, but we will see what happens for the NXT tapings that take place in a couple of weeks, because that is going to set the table going forward. Overall, I thought NXT TakeOver was a good show. I'm going to give it an A-. It definitely did not live up to par like Brooklyn or Houston, because Houston had War Games, and that was definitely really fun to watch. And Brooklyn was pretty much perfect from top to bottom. Brooklyn was like A+. And plus, you had the nostalgia factor when you had Jim Ross joining the commentary team for that one match between Hideo and Tommy and Aleister Black. That was definitely there. But NXT TakeOver Philly, I thought it was pretty good. And what did you think of the show? And I know that one of my friends sent a audio message. And I will share his thoughts on the NXT TakeOver Philadelphia card. So here goes.
It was a good pay-per-view tonight. That Johnny Gargano match. I thought he was going to win, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But he's a hard worker, and he's a very good wrestler. He's going to win the NXT champion one day. That tag team match between the Author of Pain and the NXT Tag Team Champion, I did not like that match. It was very sloppy. They were running around Duck Goose. That match, I give a C-.
And there you have it, folks. That was one of my good friends, Richie, who will be joining us on the podcast in the future. And that is it for the NXT TakeOver review. I will be doing the Royal Rumble review tomorrow, and the Raw review on Monday, and the SmackDown synopsis on Tuesday. So that is that. I hope you all enjoyed a pleasant evening, and I will see you next time on Wrestling with Green Pinstripes podcast.